Hey, this is Prometheus, and I want to kind of give you a breakdown of some advanced tips, things that I develop and I put into my schemes to help take my game to the next level. Now, over the last few months or so, I've actually been developed about 40 different schemes, offensively and defensively, that I have posted on the internet. Now, if you are looking to see schemes in action, I recommend you go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. What I do is I break down a scheme, and I actually go ahead and show a live ranked game at the after the scheme to show you how it works in action. Sometimes the schemes work out great, other times they don't. So the one thing that makes my channel unique opposed to other channels is basically I'm actually going to show you the real McCoy. You're not going to just see some kind of a thing where someone's trying to sell you a $3 ebook or $10 ebook. I'm actually providing this to the community based on some of the things I've picked up. Now, I'm going to show you a few tips which can help you make quick, fast reads. The one thing you'll notice that when I play on offense, I'm making quick decisions so I get rid of the ball. So if anybody decides that they want to blitz against me, most of the times if they hit me with a blitz, it's either a complete blown blocking assignment by the offensive line, or it's a coverage sack that I actually get. If I get sacked, it's a coverage sack because I have to see progressions later down in the field. But you'll never really see me with getting hit with fast heat, primarily because the ball is out of my hand. And one of the most annoying things is playing an opponent that makes quick decisions, that gets rid of the ball really quick. So if you want to become more of an advanced player, you have to make quick decisions, make quick reads, and I'm going to show you some tips that help you take your game to the next level. Alright, so the first concept I want to show to you, and this is a concept that I discovered, is basically the streak slant concept. Most standard audibles that you have in all of your formations are going to come with a slants audible, and that's going to be one of the standard audibles that you can see. As you can see right here, you go into the weak H Pro, you've got quick slants, you've got another slants right here, so it's going to be a very common play that you can do. Now, one of the things that I discovered with this particular concept is to basically go ahead and be able to attack my opponent in the seam. So what I'll do is I'll take my tight end and actually put him in a streak concept, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and watch my wide receiver and see what kind of a break. Really, I'm going to be forcing the ball into this slant as much as possible, primarily because if it is zone coverage, that tight end is going to clear it out. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and basically hit that area. I'm able to pick up an easy 5, 6 yards, 10 yards with this simple concept against any kind of a base cover 3. And a lot of the more elite Madden players are going to use cover 3 as their base defense, primarily because they want to start picking up on tendencies of their opponents. So this is a great concept that you can build into any one of your. This is a easy concept that you can build into pretty much any play that you have with slants. And you can actually audible into it. You can go ahead and put your wide receiver on a slant and take the tight end or anybody on a line and put him on a streak and be able to pick up easy yards against zone coverage. Now with cover 2, with this particular concept, basically the only difference is that you're going to get a little chuck, but once again the middle of the field is going to be wide open. Those defenders are going to have to fall back under the tight end for this with the coverage. So you'll get a chuck initially, but you can still wait for that pass, anticipate that slant route to come over the middle. And against man coverage, basically all you have to do is just wait for that play to develop. You'll see that he's going to get pressed off the line. You're going to go ahead and see that the area is going to get cleared away by the tight end. Once you've got the area cleared away by the tight end, you know that's going to be wide open for an easy completion to be able to pick up for man coverage. So you're going to force your opponent to do certain drastic measures just to stop a simple passing concept like this. And let me show you that to you. Most likely what's going to happen is your opponent is actually going to go ahead and use some kind of a robber coverage, such as the cover 1 robber, or they're going to go ahead and use probably some kind of a zone coverage over the middle, which would be a cover 1 hole. That's pretty common online. I see that a lot. So the difference is basically what's going to happen is that you're going to have that middle linebacker that's going to get in the area and that could potentially make a play, but sometimes you can actually get that ball down. One of the things you can do is that if they go into man coverage, you know you're going to get a free release, and if you can wait, you should be able to hit the ball across the field and be able to pick up 15 yards opposed to 7. So it's not a surefire bet. It's just it's one of those little harassment plays that you can do against your opponent. That actually could force him to make a lot of adjustments to stop a simple slant pattern like that. So here's another play that's going to complement the slant, and this is one of the things you want to build in. And once again, you're forcing the ball to the slant. You're clearing out the zones. If your opponent's playing zone coverage, you know you're going to have that zone cleared out. Now if he starts going into man coverage and starts doing inside coverage to try to take away that slant route, now you really can take advantage of any holes that he puts in the field. So let's take a look at the next concept. Alright, so the next concept I want to talk about, and this is a complement to the slant streak concept, is going to be a corner slant or drag. Really, if I've got press coverage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a drag, primarily because I want to get a free release, but I've got off coverage, I can go into slant. Now, my read once again is going to be watching that corner on the right hand side and see how he reacts. In a slant, he's going to come down and actually go ahead and try to attack that wide receiver actually going across. So if my opponent is running a lot of man coverage, I might want to actually go ahead and consider going ahead and put him on a drag, because he's going to get a further release and pull the defender completely out of the area. That's going to leave that corner route naked, completely naked against a simple concept. And once again, I'm just making a fast, easy progression. I know exactly where I'm going to go to the ball. The only way that my opponent knows what I'm doing as far as this concept is concerned is if I'm actually running it frequently, too frequently. If I'm running this particular concept on a regular basis, running the same play on a regular basis, my opponent's going to understand that concept. So this is going to be something you'll need to sprinkle into your scheme, is basically to actually use this corner drag or corner slant concept. Now, if my opponent goes into zone, zone, I still have that. I can either do the slant corner streak concept is still pretty much the same. If he's off coverage, I can always go ahead and hit the underneath, and depending on how the ball gets released will actually determine on the ability. So let's just see if we do a pass lead backwards to see if I can get him in stride, which I did. But the defenders come down. So if your opponent has a tendency where he's actually using a lot of zone, it might be better to do the slant to be able to pick up that depth at that one area again. So it's really going to force your opponent to defend many different areas of the field. He's going to have to go into some kind of a hybrid defense to be able to go ahead and take away these two concepts. He'll start making adjustments. Now here's another concept I want to show to you. Is just an easy adjustment, easy reads, and this is good against an opponent that likes to run a lot of man coverage too, or at least sprinkle it in, and it gives you fairly easy reads to work with. Alright, so the next concept I'm going to talk about is going to be the angled, it's going to be a hitch drag concept or hitch slant concept. And once again, this is going to give me fairly easy reads. Now, where you would find a play like this is anything that's smash. Smash has got a deep corner route and it's got a hitch route on the outside receiver. Now, you can't audible into hitch routes with outside receivers. They have to be inside receivers. So you could actually, if you had an inside receiver that's maybe next to the tight end, you could use the same concept, but you could have some kind of a cover one hole that might mess up your initial reads. But I like to go with an outside receiver that's actually on the hitch route, and then an inside receiver that's either doing a deep corner, and I like to go ahead and invert it and change it up a little bit. Alright, so my initial read on this is going to be I've got all the defenders, they're all pressed down, especially my slot receiver. A slot receiver, if you're using a 3-wide set, is going to give you a fairly fast understanding of what kind of a defense you're going, because if it's a cover 2, that slot receiver is actually going to, that slot defender is going to be off the ball. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my slot receiver and put him in a drag or a slant route. Now I like drags if I want to get rid of the ball quickly. Also, what I can do is I can take Smith and I can hot route that hitch route to about 10-yard depth. And really all I'm going to do is I'm going to watch Brown. If the defender follows him, I know that hitch route is going to be wide open for an easy completion. Easy completion. and pretty much I can do this the entire time unless there's some kind of a crazy defense by the defender. So it's a very simple, easy read to actually go ahead and look at this level, this kind of an easy read route concept, and it forces your opponent to get out of a defense, because if he's in man coverage, he's going to have to get out of it. And look how fast I'm getting rid of the ball. I'm getting rid of the ball so quick. He's just not going to have any kind of time. So Tillman made a good play on the ball right there. So let's take a look at zone and see how that would fall into it. Okay, so if my opponent's off coverage a little bit, what's going to happen is that dragging wide receiver is going to get laid off. He's not going to actually have anybody following him as he goes across the formation. So really with that, it's fairly easy for me to go ahead and make a dump down or check down. Now, if you do have backed off coverage, you might want to go ahead and consider getting yourself a little bit more depth at the route and be able to go ahead and hit them with a slant over the middle. But you've still got that progression. If it is some kind of a cover 2, what's going to happen is that defender is going to be in the area, is going to make a play on that ball. Generally, you can see Tillman was all over that ball. He didn't make the right play. If I try to force this ball in here, what's going to happen is he's probably going to get there and get onto that ball. So that's one of the things you want to make a read. Also, you want to look at the other defender. You want to see if the defender falls into flat. So, all right. So against the cover 3 sky, once again, you want to go ahead and take a look at the receivers right there. Force that ball into there just for the concept of it. But as you can see, you really have basically, you know, right there, if you go ahead with the drag route, you're going to be able to go ahead and pick up some easy yards if your opponent runs a lot of cover 3. But you're going to get yourself in trouble if you try to force that corner route, because that defender is going to get in the way of that ball and into that passing lane and make a play against you. So this is, you know, between these 3 different passing concepts, a smash concept, a streak slant concept, a corner streak, you can drive your opponent crazy, because then he's going to have to start making adjustments with his safeties or his defensive lines to go ahead and defend certain different areas, and he's probably going to let the flat wide open. So you can do other kind of concepts to actually go ahead and abuse the flat. So I want to go into the next thing, is something I discovered on 5 wide sets to help you make your screens get more explosive and get more some depth. So this is actually something I actually picked up on, or adjustment I made in game to try to get me some more play. So I'm going to talk about how to make a 5 wide screen or screen play a little bit more explosive. All right, so the next concept I want to show you is going to be how to turbocharge or make your screen plays a little bit better. And I do so wherever the screen side is. You see my wide receiver, which is Brown. Basically Brown, because of where he's located at, he's just going to get he's going to block off to a little bit of the left too much, and he'll try to take out that defender that's going to be over the Smith. But I'm going to have a bunch of blockers in that area. And what I really want to do is I want to take Brown, I want to have him go past that defender. Now, an off coverage is basically when I'm going to go ahead and pop my opponent with screens, because he's probably in some kind of a zone or some kind of off coverage man. And what I do is I pop it, and what's going to happen is, see how's that defender, how that blocker 14 gets over the field. Let's take a look at this in instant replay. So I want you to watch 14. He goes past the defender, and he actually goes ahead and runs up and tries to block at the next level. See how he's taking on Conte right there? And he actually goes ahead and is taking on Conte. Now, if Pitta would have held his block over here, I would have been able to go ahead and basically take that up the sideline, probably for a score based on that play. But that's one of the things I actually discovered playing in game, is this particular concept of actually making a screen more explosive, is by actually going ahead and putting the slot wide receiver, which would be Brown, and putting him in a flat. So if you do run 5 wide sets, you run screen plays, and your screen plays don't get as explosive as you want to, this is a really simple adjustment. Just go ahead and put this guy in a flat, and on off coverage, he's going to be able to get up to the next level and take out that safety for you to be able to blow up, but make that turn it into a huge play. Alright, so the next concept I want to show to you, and this is basically, it's going to be another area of the field that you can attack. So we've already showed you some areas to attack: the flats, you've got the seams, you've got the corners. So you're basically hitting your opponent in all different types of areas of the field. this is where you can start using the running backs. You know, I want to take my opponent out of some kind of a blitz. So what I can do is I can go ahead and utilize my running backs. Now, the angle routes are very devastating. They're going to blow up man coverage. They're going to blow up zone coverage. Basically, to be able to take away an angle route, your opponent essentially is going to have to use that, or take a defender off the defensive line and man them up against the running back. So if your opponent is very blitz happy, if you start noticing a tendency that he's running a lot of blitzes at you and he's shifting his line around and he's pulling defenders down, trying to get an edge blitz off you, you can use this because once again these are very fast, easy developing plays. So right there, pick up a good 5 or 6 yards underneath coverage. He might be trying to defend the flats and the corners, and now you're starting to attack them in the inside. Conversely, you've got the option route on the other side, which is a very smart play. Matter of fact, you can do stock option routes on both sides of the field if you wanted to, and they're really going to go ahead and basically drive your opponent crazy to be able to stop up the underneath routes, and he's not gonna have an idea on how to defend against this. Now, option routes are basically routes that you can basically audible into. As you can see right there, a nice play by Pitty to go ahead and pick that up. So you could use an angle route. Let's see if we can flip this angle route. And with a complement of an option route, and it's just going to have to defend underneath they actually go ahead and defend against those routes, and it's just going to be very, very harassing for your opponent to go ahead and stop those type of things. So that's what I like about this concept. Also, what you can do too, if you wanted to, you can go ahead and use a little hitch route underneath to be able to go ahead and hit your opponent underneath too. So those are just another area of the field that your opponent has to defend against, because if he starts defending the flats and starts stretching his defense out to try to take away those other routes, you can hit him underneath. So now you're hitting him in all these different areas. So let's talk about one passing concept which I really love, and I've stressed this in all of my breakdowns, that it's a stock concept. And it's an automotion concept that you really need to take incorporating, because it gives you multiple different areas of the field that you can hit, and it's a Z spot. All right, so the Z spot, if you see the play right here in the center, Z spot, basically you've got the wide receiver motioning, and he's going to go up probably about 5-6 yards, and then he's going to sit right over the line of scrimmage. Then you've got a corner route, and then you've got a flat route by the running back. And what I like about this is it's very easy reads. All I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the defender that's over Steve Smith Sr. and see if he actually follows him. If he follows him, then I know I've got man coverage. I can actually hit Forsett in the flat, or I can hit Pitto up top on the corner. My preference is to hit Pitto over the top on the corner, because that means I'm picking up a good 10 or 15 yards. If the defender does not follow him in zone coverage, and usually Smith is going to fall underneath that coverage, and if a defender falls into Smith's area, then that usually will mean that the Forsett should be wide open in the flat. So as you can see right here, defender falls back, able to go and hit the spot route. He just falls right in the perfect area. I'm able to pick up 7 or 8 yards. So with this particular concept, it's just very, very easy reads. Pick up easy yards with the actual spot route on this read. Let's see if a defender actually follows. He doesn't, but the flat is wide open. Able to go ahead and get easy yards that way. This time he does follow, leaving that corner route wide open for an easy touchdown right there. So, that's Z spot. Basically takes a lot of the concepts that I just showed you that you can go into from majority of the stock plays. Z spot has basically everything. You could run Z spot the entire game. You really could run it. It's going to force your opponent to do a lot of different things or make adjustments, and then you can fall into other plays. So I'm going to talk about 2 different running concepts that I want to show you really quick that actually can help you go ahead and build upon these passing concepts. Alright, so one of the things I want to talk about is the halfback draw. For some particular reason in Madden 15, nobody uses draws anymore. It just seems like they just don't use them. They're not very popular. Everybody's doing the 0-1 traps and using some of the other different types of plays, but draws are still very effective, and they're particularly effective against zone coverage. So let's go ahead and see if I get the blocking I was looking for. All right, so I've got off coverage right here. Actually, this is going to be some kind of a cover 6 coverage. Why? Because I've got the corner over here that's actually pressed down, and I got these other guys that are off coverage. So I know this is going to be a zone play, and as you can see, I get nice blocking because the defenders actually fall back. So let me take a look at this in instant replay. So let's watch these defenders right here. These are the guys that are going to clean up a run. And as you can see, they actually start moving away from the line of scrimmage. They're taking a step away. They're away from where the ball's at. I've already handed the ball off, and these guys have just completely dissipated. So my offensive line is basically taking on 4 defenders, and they're going to win. It looks like I've got 5 or 6 blockers to 4. I know I'm going to win at the next level, and I have offensive linemen that are going to be getting down the field to take on linebackers at a higher level. So if you got an opponent that runs a lot of zone coverage against you, you start picking up on that. An easy adjustment that you can make is just run a draw play. A draw play is going to give you a delay. It's going to allow those defenders to get clear out of the area and be able to get you easy yards with a draw play. Now, why opponents don't talk about this more, I don't understand, but it's a very easy concept. Alright, so the last concept I want to show you is going to be the halfback counter, and I figured out a simple way to actually go ahead and get a little bit more, I guess, better control of my running back. I found that running a counter stock, it forces me to go out to the outside. But I've noticed though, playing with counters, there's some good opportunities to be able to run the ball inside to be able to pick up some good yards. But the thing is that I can't have control of my running back. So a little strategy that I picked up, if I wanted to go ahead and run, if I wanted to go ahead and quickly take control of my counter running back, my running back running a counter, is I'll automatically go ahead and hit the spin button as soon as the ball gets released to him, and it gives me an opportunity to go ahead and take control and run the ball upfield. As you can see right there, I was able to go ahead and cut it up the field just with the spin move on a counter. This gives me an opportunity to go ahead and take advantage of those holes in the field that I'm not going to normally get, which would be available to me. I wouldn't be able to get to if I was to go ahead and not do some kind of a spin move to get up the field. So I would recommend just playing around with it. Run a couple counters and go ahead and hit the spin move and see how you can get inside your blockers with the counter, and it'll allow you to be able to get up the field a little bit deeper. In this situation, probably best. You can see I got blown up on that when I tried to take it outside. So I want to just let you know, if you're new to my channel, if you're looking at these tips the first time, and anything you've seen is like, wow, that's a really interesting concept, I need to add this to my playbook, this is what I really recommend you do. I recommend you actually go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You can see at least a good 20 games of live online ranked content where you can see all these concepts getting developed and used with schemes. I've got about 40 different schemes that I've put onto the internet over the last 6 months, 7 months or so, with breakdowns of these different concepts live in action. You can see them as a real McCoy. My full games run roughly between 20 and about 35 minutes or so, and the schemes that I break down will run about between 8 and about 14 minutes, depending on how in-depth they are. Now, I'm not a guru on defense. I search the internet for any kind of concepts. I search YouTube to find concepts that can help take my defensive level to the next level. The one thing I have figured out playing defense is just stick with one formation and go ahead and basically use that formation and switch up your defense as much as possible, forcing your opponent to make reads, and have blitzes, or have a blitz that you can easily audible into so you can hit your opponent with pressure when needed. I'll talk about some of the different things that you can do on defense to go ahead and basically shut down your opponent and make adjustments to your opponent's tendencies. But if you'll see, I don't run a lot of no huddle offense on offense. Basically what I do is I actually go ahead and run a play, then I come back under the huddle, and I want to see what defense my opponent is, because eventually after about 10 plays, you're going to pick up on someone's tendencies and see what they're doing. If you're new to my channel, I recommend you subscribe. For all my subscribers, I really appreciate the support. I hope this helps you take your game to the next level. Once again, I really appreciate the support, and until next time.